Welcome to Rad Chat. I'm your host, Brandilynn, and before we get started, I just want to give a big shout out to Wake Slay Repeat. Go follow them on Instagram. She sent me this really awesome shirt for spooky season, guys. We're coming up to fall, so go get your merch. Thank you. So today, my special guest is Janae of Books and Bobbins. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course, I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm so excited. I feel like with COVID, I haven't really seen a lot of people. So just to see someone I know.
It's been like over a year, I want to say.
So crazy, yeah. Probably we have both love for Disney, and sadly our annual passes are put on hold because Disneyland is closed. So that was the last time we
no more tea parties.
I know, that was so fun, guys. I'll put the sticker here. We went to a tea party with Alice in Wonderland, and it was really cool
because Alice loves Miss Brandilynn.
Yes, got her on my arm somewhere over here. Anyways, so thank you so much for coming. I know it's a really crazy time. I know you're super busy because this girl does so much, guys. So let's just kind of get started in what Books and Bobbins is, how did it come to fruition, and let's start there.
Yes, so I had been working at a sewing shop over in Northridge, one of my many jobs, but it was kind of the main one for like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Completely at random. Yeah. I had seen an ad on Craigslist or on a website or something, and I'm like
Indeed.
Sewing. I've always wanted to sew.
Did you already know how to sew?
No.
Oh shit.
I'd never touched a sewing machine before starting my job. It was just like,
think that'd be a requirement. Knows how to sew,
right? I had seen an ad and it's like, we need a new manager, full time, full training. We'll teach you everything you need to know. So I'm like, I've always wanted to sew.
Might as well.
No one in my family really sewed. We didn't have a sewing machine, and it's always something me and my mom had talked about really wanting to do.
Oh, nice.
And it's hard to find classes and stuff. So I'm like,
and that's such a you think that's like a thing that was really popular back in the day.
Everyone had a sewing machine.
Yeah.
And now
no one's like, what? I feel like I didn't learn how to sew until I was like older. So.
And anytime I mentioned I managed a sewing shop, they're like, people sew? What do you mean you manage a sewing shop? Who's at the sewing shop? Who are you selling sewing machines to?
Right? That's really cool though. That's super interesting.
Yeah, so it was completely random. I got the job and kind of just instantly panicked.
Oh no, because you were like, wait, what did I get
these people call me asking all of these things. I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, no.
And so it was just, I spent a lot of time watching videos. They sent me all over the country for training.
Oh, shit.
All different
That's
companies.
Pretty legit.
Yeah, it was. I'd never had a job like that. And it just became my passion. Like, the more that I learned,
oh, that's so dope.
The more people I got to meet, the more I realized what sewing really was. Okay. Especially right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Completely blew me away. When I thought of sewing, I thought of my grandma staying up all night trying to make a flapper dress out of a pillowcase.
Yeah,
when I was
that's what I think of, 6. Olden days.
It was a completely new world. Yeah. It completely opened up this whole creative avenue that I would have never thought of. And so it just became my passion.
How crazy that you just saw an ad and then here you are
Absolutely.
It touched that part of you that opened up that passion that was always there.
I mean, I'd been working as sales kids and working at the mall and working wherever, and I finally found something where I could express myself again. And it felt like it would have been so
It's a real art too, the whole creative process, I'm sure, of learning the machine itself, but then what you make of that is that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I loved it. I was just in heaven.
Nice. So then from there, realizing that, how did the process go from that sewing shop?
Yes. So again, I probably stayed at the shop longer than I should have.
Oh, okay.
To begin with.
Yeah, don't we all do that at some point
of
our life?
It's it's time to leave and you don't want to give it up. Just in general, I could just kind of sense it wasn't the right fit for me anymore. Okay. I was becoming more and more passionate. I wanted to get more and more involved in the business. I wanted to connect with more people and have more control. And I could tell it was time for me to think about something more
big
picture, something more unique. Yeah. That's going after more people.
Nice.
And so I started Books and Bobbins about a year ago.
Nice.
Well, that's the second time I tried a book club.
Okay.
So this is the first time I tried a book club with the sewing shop.
Gotcha.
I was trying to reach people who never sewed or didn't know anything about machines or embroidery or anything like that, because that's how I came into it.
Yeah.
And I wanted more people to have that, because I had no idea, and I wanted to spread it.
And you never know until you try.
And I had done, years ago, I did Book Club of Champions, and that was when I was back at Hot Topic.
Yeah, I do remember that one. Guys, if you didn't know, me and Janae, little quick backstory, we met because we worked at Hot Topic together. And if you don't know Hot Topic, it is such a...
You've never heard of a little store called Hot Topic?
It is such a great, community of all these different fandoms.
I've met so many cool people.
So many cool people, yeah. And I feel like being a customer to Hot Topic, you love going there for what you want to buy, all those fandoms or different TV shows or whatever. But then when you work there, you're like, oh shit, I'm immense in this. The sales are coming.
Additional things that I've got myself into.
Yeah, of course.
What is this? We gotta listen to it. We gotta go find out.
Yeah, and then you learn so much music and different shows. So it was how our budding friendship happened. Mm-hmm. She did all this while working Hot Topic, while working at the sewing shop, while working at all these other places.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just, I started that because I needed that outlet. Yeah. I wasn't getting enough, it was kind of, that whole that whole feel, that
it's so lively. Mm-hmm. It kind of keeps you on your toes because it's always ever changing, especially in Hot Topic. The environment is so fast.
Exactly. And you're getting exposed to all these new people and stuff like that. So I wanted to bring some of that idea into the shop because it was there. Yeah. There's so many nerdy sewers. Nice. That's what I really fell in love with, are the nerd sewers. Yeah. There's so many things that you can't get in a store that they make.
Yeah.
If you look at the boutique or whatever it is through Loungefly, the new line that they have.
Yeah. I feel like it's branching
of the vintage
so many
dresses.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's cute. The sewers that I was going after.
Nice.
And the people who didn't even know how to sew, who wanted to do stuff like that.
Because you think sewing is everything, right? It's embroidery. It's literally making the dress you're wearing.
Exactly.
So even making the shirt I'm wearing.
Exactly.
You need those types of people.
Exactly.
Someone's making it.
I did the books because I love to read. I
love reading too.
I just annihilate books. Yeah. Since I was little, it was always one of my favorite pastimes.
Favorite book real quick?
Favorite book.
So
difficult. So I'll give you my first favorite book, and it's Jane Eyre.
Okay.
Jane Eyre was the first book, big girl book that I read.
Yeah. That's
so Jane Eyre is I would say it was my first favorite. But the books was a great avenue because there's so many nerds living in books.
Yeah,
and I wanted to go get those nerds.
Nerds forever. I am a nerd. I'm proud of it. No shame.
So I turned the Book Club of Champions into Books and Bobbins, so I can marry the sewing that I was so nerdy about with the books that I was so nerdy about.
That's also an idea too, to bridge the gap and make your own community.
Exactly. Exactly, because I loved it so much. And
yeah, that's so awesome.
So that's something I was doing for the last year. And when I made the decision to finally leave Kingdom and to focus on my own stuff and put my energy in other places, I kept Books and Bobbins because I had a really good reaction from people. People were really excited about the idea. You had seen the idea too.
I was very excited, guys. Well, we're going to tag it down here.
So I definitely wanted to keep contact with those people, and that's really how it started. I wasn't planning on anything more than that, really. Yeah. I just wanted to keep in contact with the people I already talked to. And then Corona. And the more and more time that was on my hands, even when I was still kind of working here and there, but I had a lot more time. I was used to working every single day. 16 hours a day.
A shock to your body, because for you, since I've known you,
have you ever had so little to do that you had too much to do? You're just overwhelmed with all of the options of things that you could be doing. You just sit on the couch for 10 hours,
figure out what,
and you're just staring off into space. That was me for a month.
Yeah,
I was like a zombie.
It's really crazy because I think we really related right away, because when we first met, I was working 3 jobs, going to college full time.
Incredible.
And you were working so many jobs. I feel like you were working 3 jobs at the time too, right? Yeah. So we were three job sisters. And so we connected just on that grind of
you have no time. You never sleep.
Yeah, and then you kind of understand. I feel like a lot of people don't understand like, when people are busy, they're not trying to blow you off. They're just, like, consumed of their everyday lives, paying their bills, trying to grow and educate. And then when you meet a friend who, like, literally is on the same grind, they're not going to be petty and be like, oh, you don't want to hang out with me today. Like, nah, I'm working. I can't hang out. And I think that's how we really connected, because we're on that
driven. You're a driven girl.
We just got shit to do. So I really want to give you a lot of respect for that, because you're still currently doing all of this stuff too. So I have to give you some praise.
I wouldn't know what else to do.
It's weird when you don't have lots to do. Like, you get so used to it, and then you're like, oh shit. You kind of really do shock your system. Like, my feet, like, aren't
It felt
going.
like a month. I think it was probably maybe a few days, but it felt like a month.
Never ending.
It was like that meme of, like, someone looking out at the rainy window, just, like, with their hand against.
Or, like, the fire, and, like, this is fine.
So I was, like, sitting at home and kind of freaking out, and then the whole mask thing hit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Honestly, it was kind of simultaneous, but it was still weird not going to work. And then, everyone needed face masks, and I worked at a sewing shop, so people knew me. I had made a video just before I left of how to make the face masks, so people can do it at home, but a lot of people, again, don't know anything about sewing machines, don't know how to make it.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were doing that, like, t-shirts, and just kind of, like, figuring out how to, like, everyone was completely panicked.
Exactly. So I started making face masks like crazy. That we were donating to, like, the hospitals, because they needed face masks.
Which is so incredible also to give you respect, because for you to just take that upon you, like, you work at the sewing shop, but you were in the transition of leaving, to then take it upon you to be like, you know what, I'm going to do justice to the community around me. And also, too, you put it on Instagram, you promoted it so people could contact you and they could live all over the world. So that's super incredible, and I'm sure it took a lot of your time.
I was so grateful. It's like I fell into a vacuum of time. And the face masks just, like, filled that, and I felt so good, like, being able to help people who needed it.
That's awesome.
Who were panicking.
And also get to put your own nerdy twist on it of the characters you're using. So
it was so much fun.
I would say, how fulfilling was that experience?
So much.
Are you still currently doing it?
I am here and there. Okay. But it had to be fulfilling, because I can tell you, I didn't sleep for, like, days at a time.
Really?
Just me and my mom. Keep going? We have, like, 4 sewing machines set up, and we're, like, doing, like, multiple...
Shout out to Mom's Help.
Yes, multiple, like, layers. I mean, that's what kept me going when it first started, was just having that connection.
Producing it and knowing.
And another thing is, at home, I had to, like, we were, like, digging out my sewing machines. Oh, okay. I was, like, cleaning them out, because I never sewed at home.
That's...
everything that I did, everything that I made was all for the store. So it was this really weird transition of, like, all of a sudden, like, oh, I can do things for myself. I can sew things that I want to sew just because I want to sew them.
How was that, like, empowering as, like, your transition to the, like, one, obviously coronavirus affected everybody, so you have that kind of, like, on you, and then you have, like, your transition of life and your career. How did that empower you? Was it scary?
Oh, definitely. That was terrifying.
It's
terrifying. You know when you depend on so many different things going on. It's terrifying, but it was definitely empowering. I did not realize until a few months in, not even a few months, like, until, like, that first month, like, how little I thought about what I wanted to do. Okay. And then when I started with books and bobbins, trying to make it into a business, part of the reason I did is that passion of, I want to do things because I want to do things. Yeah. I've been working for 10 years in retail, whether it was small business or, you know, Hot Topic or whatever.
Big corporate, you know, which now Box Lunch.
Which now
she transitioned.
Yeah, I moved up to the adult version.
The adult version. The more pristine version.
But it was just this idea that I especially when I work at small businesses, because I always work at a small business at the same time as working at a corporate. All of my energy, all of my creative juices, all of my, my passion went into other people's stuff.
Yeah. Especially small business, which needs more help than a big corporation.
And I was just always thinking of ways to build their business. I was always thinking of, how do I attract more people? How do I spread this awesome thing that these people are doing? And so I didn't realize how much of my time and energy and passion, it was like I just turned a part of myself off. Yeah. I just completely ignored myself. Yeah. I threw myself into other people's stuff.
And their profit.
Because I couldn't deal with the fact of, like, me not doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think about it.
Tunneled it into theirs.
Oh, my God. Towards the end of like, working at the sewing shop, there was so much of me in that store. It was insane. And it wasn't even, like, their fault. It was, like, me. I had so much that I wanted to do, and I just shoveled it all into there. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything for me anymore.
You gave yourself to that company. It was who knows crazy. How they're, compensating you for that. Which I'm sure it's also really scary, too, because, we're working all these jobs because we have to make money, right? Like, let's be honest. We need to make money. We live in California. It's terrible. It's so expensive. So we're all drowning here, guys. Yeah, I'm sure that's a little, like, scary, too, because, like, you think you're putting all this passion in this company that you would hope, like, they treat you well, and, of course, whatever the situation is. But then you have all this in you, and you're like, wait, like, I could be just my own boss. Yeah. But it's scary because to just make that leap, you're not getting that steady paycheck. So I'm sure that is super scary. Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, a part of it, like, being the coronavirus, kind of, like, pushed you into pushed me to, like, really look at what was important. Yeah, which is, I guess, a silver lining to coronavirus.
It was at least one positive that comes out of something so incredibly negative.
Yeah. Let's not forget it's incredibly negative. But I don't know. I'm all about, like, finding the light of anything. Like, that is a light somehow that came to you in this crazy time. So I feel like that's how you know it's always meant to be too. Like, okay, like, coronavirus hit, and it's either what am I going I feel like when coronavirus hit, you learned who are the people that are gonna, like, take what happened and try to make something, and the people that, like, succumb to the pressure of, like, the unknown, because no one could do anything about this. So it's like you took it into a positive, and now you created your own business that you've been waiting forever, or subconsciously been making forever.
I'm definitely incredibly grateful that it happened in that way. Yeah. Of course, it would take, like, a global pandemic and, like, people, like, literally telling me, like, no, you can't come here anymore. Oh my you need God. To stay home. Like, people just, like, chaining me to my chair. So like, true. What's what it would take for me to be like, hey, maybe you should be doing something else. I don't know.
How funny. That is so true. Just gotta shut me in the house. You can't tell me I can leave because, like, I'm on the go.
Yeah. So, and once I started to kind of move in that direction, I just felt so much better. Yeah. And so much more excited. Nice. Super, super scared. Yeah. Still super, super scared. But the amount of excitement that I had felt
is so much more overwhelming.
And I hadn't felt anything like that in so long.
Oh, that's so incredible.
So I definitely just started to keep throwing more and more into it. And how many times I've, like, built websites, or I've built online companies, or I've, built social media for other people. Like, just doing that for myself, it just seemed, like, obvious.
It was so much easier than
it was all my time, and it was all the things I wanted to do. Yeah. If I wanted to promote a book, I would promote a book because that's what I wanted to promote. Yeah. If I wanted to make a project, and I'm like, oh, I really want to make this project, but I don't have time. It's like, now you make the time, and you make a video out of it, and you show people that.
How dope that you are, because my next question is, like, now I'm stuck with my mic. Awkward. The host should not have that happen. So I feel like, I went to school for business, so I kind of, like, obviously you learn with technology just how to do things as, like, we evolve as, like, humans, but I had, like, a little bit of business background. But for you, I was going to say, did you go to school for business, or you really just had all hands-on experience?
It was all hands-on.
That's really incredible.
Yeah, it was all hands-on. So I would, every year I go through, training through all the different companies. And, they always want you to do your best. So there would be, like, business counselors and social media counselors, and
that's just so incredible.
And, like, talking about, like, the dynamics of, like, your customer base, and who's out there buying things, and the ages, and millennial, and
that's true. And that's so incredible too, because I feel like hands-on experience is so, in my opinion, so much more valuable just from doing both. So much more valuable. So that's incredible too, that you self-taught yourself how to create your own business. And that's We'll see. What we all want.
We'll see.
No, girl, you're doing it. So now that, like, Books and Bobbins has become, like, into fruition, how, like, do you have a website? How is that going now that you've launched it?
I feel like I'm just, like I said, I'm really excited, and I'm really just starting to kind of get traction.
Okay.
So with Books and Bobbins, we were doing some sewing projects. It's always, we read a book.
Okay.
And then we do a sewing project based on the book.
Oh, legit.
So it started out with me in the shop, and so it was, I would teach people how to embroider a bag, and we'd make an embroidered bag.
How fun.
Or we would sew, like a quilt block, and I would show them how to make the quilt block. So when dealing with Corona, we couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Plus, I'd left the shop, so I didn't want to deal with any weirdness.
Yeah.
So we went to Zoom.
Okay.
So I started doing Zoom calls with the club. Like my first grand opening of Books and Bobbins, like launching the website was really cool. I had like, I don't know, like 11 or 12 people that I wasn't even expecting to show up, and we're talking about what books we were passionate about, and we're talking about kind of sewing we like to do, and it was just really exciting.
So fun.
Connecting with people, and
how cool to connect over such a thing that you don't, like, you're right, like you said earlier, you just don't think really much of it, and then you start connecting with this
and
community.
You see what people do, and like one of the girls in the club, like she's like this crazy textile artist, she does like all threads and yarns and handwork, and like it's just like she does like whole art installations and panels of walls of stuff, and I'm like, this is so cool.
That's amazing.
I met
I'm
just
even
through
amazed
doing
by your
Books
face
and
mask.
Bobbins.
Like the fact that you go even higher than that.
Oh my gosh, these people are incredible. Wow. And that's what I love. I'm meeting all of these incredible artists.
Yeah,
textile artists.
An art.
It's amazing.
Wow.
And so the more I got to meet new people, the more passionate I got about it. And then recently I started doing the YouTube videos. Super recently.
We'll post it, guys.
Oh my gosh, girl.
It's hard.
It is so much work.
It's a lot of work.
It's so much work. I can't imagine editing.
Mine's not in any quality.
So much time and energy, but it's so much fun.
It's fun,
And when you see it, and you've worked so hard on like this 5 minutes,
and then you re-listen
and you're
to
like,
it.
God, that's amazing, and then you listen to it so many times, you're like, I'm gonna throw up if I hear it one more time.
But then you're also like,
but enjoy, guys.
You're like, wait, let me go back. How did I look? Okay, wait, how did I sound? Oh wait, how did this look to the audience?
It's great. If you ever want,
that's super fun that you're getting immersed into a whole nether art form too.
Yeah. Again, scary and not something I ever thought I would be doing.
Yeah.
But, I kind of follow where it goes, and people are really, really into the learning videos.
That's awesome.
So I'll keep working on that. And I just feel like, the more I kind of focus on where my passion wants to go, and the more I feed off of other people, the more I'll know where to go.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Do you feel like when you finally got into sewing, you learned like, okay, I'm really passionate, I'm excited about this, and then now with Books and Bobbins and people giving you that positive feedback, how fulfilling does it feel that like, okay, my passion is like, I'm right about my passion?
Exactly. I definitely solidifies that for me. I went from someone who goes from like job to job to job.
Yeah, literally.
To like working 3 or 4
job to job.
3 or 4 jobs
and goes to the next job.
So like when people would ask me what I do, I'm like, oh, I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I work a lot of places. To be like, oh, I'm a sewer, I know, Sewist.
Yeah.
I was we call it. We call it Sewist.
Okay.
Now, like an
Sewist.
Artist, but they sew.
That's cute.
So they're Sewist.
I
Because I don't know if you've ever seen sewer written down, but it looks like sewer, and it's not as fancy or as pretty.
It does. You're
so
right.
Sewist is a lot cuter.
Sewist, guys, let's ship it.
Is that I was a sewist and a quilter,
Yeah.
and then I'm now running my own sewing education and bookstore because I love books.
Awesome.
So that's becoming more and more my passion and more who I am. I feel like I'm doing something that's expressing a part of myself as opposed to just doing what I need to do to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Which I'm still doing. I'm always still working to make ends meet at various other places, but I get a job to do what I want to do and what I love to do.
And that's so rare that people do find their passions. And I mean, granted, like you said, you are still working these other jobs, but I'm sure the fact that you finally are now like pursuing that passion, it kind of helps level the playing field.
And it feels really good. It feels like I'm not just treading water anymore.
Nice. That's incredible, girl. Like, that is where everyone wants to be. And like, that just makes, like for anyone watching or listening, like, hopeful that like they're not just gonna work this dead-end job for the rest of their life, and like you can do something.
You've got to do what you're passionate about. You can't ignore it, because the longer I ignored it, the more dangerous things got for me.
Okay.
You know, you can't ignore who you are and what you want to do. You can be worried and you can keep those other jobs.
Yeah.
But the longer you try to ignore yourself, the more dangerous you become to yourself.
Yeah, that's true, because I feel like, I do feel the same, because I feel like when I lived in New Jersey and I tried to model out there, I wasn't really me. I was just this young girl trying to make it in New York, and then New York was really mean to me.
New York is really scary.
It's scary. I feel like I'm a little jaded
you only picked like the biggest, scariest city other than Los Angeles. And then they're like, oh, we're going to go to Los Angeles now. But let's go to the second biggest, scariest city.
I feel like it's funny because I'm from the East Coast, New York, I'm just like, it's New York City. Like, I was so jaded towards it. But then it's now, and so then I've come to Los Angeles where like people are like, oh my god, New York, and I'm like, I felt the same way, like, oh my god, Los Angeles. Then you come here and you spend a little time and then you're like, okay, I got my fill of both cities.
Nice.
But I feel like when I came here and I realized, like, okay, like, I'm gonna be the model that has tattoos and I'm gonna show my tattoos because that's like my culture and my experience, and you know, I don't care if people judge me because like I know who I am. I felt that was really a liberating moment for me. So obviously,
I remember when I met you, like when you first moved here.
I didn't really have any yet, and I started to get the sleeve. I think when I started Hot Topic, I was in the process of the sleeve.
I know, I remember.
Or maybe it just had gotten done. I mean, it's still in a process of getting to be a full sleeve, but yeah, I started getting more, and then I got the thigh tattoo when I met you. But I feel like obviously different situations, but I can relate, like, if you don't really become who you are, there's like a baggage to it almost. Maybe that's kind
of
it
wears you down.
Yeah.
Like everyday things just start to wear you down.
Yeah, I could see that too, like always being on the go too, when you're like, wait, I could be using my time to be doing like something that'll actually make me happy than just like being at this place every day. So I'm so happy to hear that you found a balance between like, yeah, you're still keeping busy and making your money that you need to, but then you're still really going at it and pursuing what you're passionate about. That is so incredible. It makes me so happy when people talk about things that they're really passionate about, because I feel like I never really had a talent. And that always like bothered me, like, oh, like people are so creative and talented. And then when you talk to people and you just hear their passion about what they do, I just get filled with so much joy. Like, wow, how magical that like you found sewing and it's like this crazy experience for you. So how did you come up with books and bobbins?
Because of my two passions. So like I said, I always loved books, always loved reading since time I was little. And then I just liked the bees, you know, the books and the bobbins. It just seemed cute to me. And I wanted something that would kind of incorporate, you know, some sort of sewing. And I think bobbins
what is a bobbin?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Bobbins are like what holds your thread.
Oh, okay.
And if like...
I'm dumb.
No. Oh my god, no. No, so you have like your spool of thread and you have your bobbin of thread.
Like the thimble on Monopoly? Is that a thing?
That's a thing too. It's also a thing
That's
too.
That's my knowledge of sewing.
It keeps you from stabbing yourself in the finger with a needle, so it's an incredibly important aspect.
Okay.
But yeah, the bobbins go with like thread. And, and a lot of people use bobbins, whether they, you know, are on the sewing machine or whether they do other kinds of sewing. They'd be familiar kind of with the term.
Right. Okay, now that makes so much more sense to me.
So books and bobbins is sewing and reading together.
I like the play on it too. Yeah. And it like does flow off the tongue, both being double B's. So with books and bobbins, are you like, do you offer the service for these like tutorials, and like people like can go through your website to book those? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so I have appointments that you can book through my website, which are one-on-one. So I do beginning sewing, beginning quilting, and then machine training. Because like you were saying, just knowing how to use your machine
is probably really hard.
Is like a huge part of the battle. It's like what kind of turns people off from sewing. And it's what I became probably most passionate about. Was how the machines work. And I can kind of train anyone on any sewing machine or other types of embroidery machines, serger, which is more professional.
Are you really into the like learning every like the technical aspects of it? Okay.
I love it.
So you're very
super weird passion that I became passionate about.
That's awesome though.
I absolutely love working on the machines.
That's awesome.
So I just feel like the better you understand your machine and how it works, just a couple of things, all of a sudden it's like not a big scary mystery that you hide in your closet anymore.
Or I'm not gonna like thread my hand.
Right? You're not gonna like sew your fingers together like the Grinch.
Yes, that was like the only thing I thought of too, like growing up. If I ever saw
that needle's going
like,
so
I
fast.
would hurt myself. Is there anything like interesting about the sewing machine that you would want to share, or like little tidbits like maybe that come off your like first thing off your head?
Interesting. There's there's so many interesting things about the machine. I'm trying to think of like what would be kind of fun.
Or maybe like your favorite thing about the machine. Maybe it'll be a little
I just
easier.
love all of I don't think people realize what you could do with the machine. Like there's people who sew on canvases.
Okay.
Like they'll paint a canvas and then they'll what they call quilting.
Okay.
A canvas. And I think that's something that people don't realize is quilting isn't just sewing the squares together and like making the quilt. When people say
that's
quilting,
what I think.
when people say quilting in the quilting community, they actually mean literally just putting the top piece, the bottom piece, and the filling together.
Oh, okay.
Quilting in itself, I think, is the most interesting thing that I've discovered about sewing and sewing machines.
Nice.
It's basically like you're drawing, you're painting, or sketching, but with thread and a needle.
How crazy. I feel like
so you're moving the free motion quilting. You're just moving a piece of fabric under the needle and you're making full pictures and things.
How hard was that to learn in first?
It's backwards.
Okay.
So, you're using the pencil and the paper.
Yeah.
It's like you're moving the paper underneath the pencil.
Gotcha.
So you're trying to like draw a face, but you're doing it like upside down.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of weird, but then it's just like, I don't know, have you doodled? Like, do you doodle in notebooks?
Yeah, sometimes.
Like in school, like if you like made a little,
up.
that's all quilting is.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like people are into like Zentangle and like coloring books. Like when you're making like all the little shapes that like connect to each other and you're filling a whole page with just like doodling.
Got you.
That's literally quilting.
Oh, okay.
It's like this really cool therapeutic.
Yeah,
where you're sitting at the machine for
really
hours and hours, just
so
like building
laser focused.
designs.
I could see that being like a good therapy.
Yeah, and so
seeing
what people can do, and the amazing people do like portrait quilting, where like they're creating faces and creating scenes,
right? People do with their animals.
Yeah, so that's probably my favorite thing that I've learned about sewing and quilting. Had no idea
it's good to know the
what
difference
quilting
too,
was.
like that you defined it in that way. Like it's not just what we think. Like I'm gonna put the squares together.
Right. I had no idea. People are like, "Oh, you're like do you know anything about quilting?" And I'm like, I mean, I know that you put these blocks together. You can like paste them together and make a quilt. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. You're making a blanket, right?
Yeah,
I don't understand. But it's an art form.
That's really cool.
That people literally only quilt.
Yeah.
Like other people make the quilt.
Yeah.
They, get the back pieces together. They hand them these 3 pieces and their job is just to put the pieces together.
How crazy.
But there's crazy intense designs and like they do like seashells and they do like I've seen like people who do like science quilts and they quilt like the beakers.
Oh,
and they like it's crazy the talent that these people have. And that's probably my favorite thing I discovered.
Wow. I was gonna say it's so crazy too to see how much the machine can move too. Like the needle, right?
It's nuts. Because what it is the needle is staying still.
Okay.
And like I said, you're moving the fabric underneath.
Okay.
Like you see an embroidery machine.
Yeah.
Which are super cool because like the actual hoop is moving underneath that needle. People do that.
So I feel like I just
like with their hands.
Knowledge of this is like
it's crazy. Like one of my favorite artists is Carly Porter.
Okay.
Who does graffiti quilting.
Oh, nice.
So it looks like graffiti, like a graffiti artist with like all like the really big lines and colorful stuff, and it's just blank fabric. It's just like a white piece of fabric or a black piece of fabric, and she just creates these really beautiful, entirely made of thread, like graffiti style quilting.
That's so incredible.
People are nuts. People are crazy. I don't know how they do it.
What I guess would be your favorite style then of sewing, or like do you?
I love quote that like textile art.
Okay.
Feel so. Luke Haynes is another one of my favorite, where he does perspective quilts. So if you look from one direction, you can't see what the quilt is, but if you move in another direction, then it's like a full force perspective quilt.
Oh, I love those.
I love people who like quilt on paint canvases. I love people who like quilt from old ties and who quilt from old pieces of fabric and weird fabrics. And
I feel like it's a never-ending
I love the
world.
Texture. It's
because there's so much you could do.
Once you start,
I feel like
and you start looking at these people, the more it leads to like where the people are doing more like sculpture, but out of thread and out of fabric. It's just so much fun.
Did you have a favorite project you've worked on?
Favorite project? I'd say probably one of my favorite projects is I love quilting, I love free motion.
Okay.
And so I decided for one of our big quilt shows that I was going to make a skirt out of the quilted pieces of sample fabric of me teaching people how to quilt, of people trying the quilt machines, of like different, quilting artists who have come in like to do classes and stuff. So it was basically me cutting up all of these weird old different chunks of fabric, of quilted fabric, and making a circle skirt.
How cute!
Out of it. The skirt, I think, weighs about 20 pounds.
Oh my god!
And it stands up by itself.
How
but
funny.
it was just like working with all these different threads, and there was yarn in there, and there was all these different things.
That's incredible.
I just love putting it together. I love the feeling of it. I love
Was
the
it like
textures.
a challenge too that you liked about it too? Because you're bringing together all these different elements. Wow, that's so incredible.
Yeah, so I think that was one of my favorite projects. Yeah.
Do you have any like ones you're in the current work of?
Oh god,
so many.
They call it UFOs.
Okay.
Unfinished objects.
Okay.
That's all sewers have is rooms of fabric and UFOs.
That's awesome.
So I always have a ton. Like I'm making a backpack. I don't know. You remember Pogs?
Yeah.
Those like little cardboard discs.
And they would pop up, right?
I'm making a backpack with Pogs in it.
Oh my god, that's so rad.
Super weird.
Oh my god, like throwback to the 90s. I love it. I'm a 90s girl.
I'm making like, dog sweaters. I'm making quilts.
That's
we have
so
masks
cute.
still on the table that I'm making.
So if someone
there's
wants
always
to
a ton
like
of stuff I'm
book
making.
a project, can they go to your website and is there like a place they can
Yeah,
say?
they can. There's an email through. There's just a
nice.
contact me, whether it's learning or you want something made or whatever it is.
I'm about to be like, I need a lot of things today for my cosplay.
Exactly.
Shit.
Love cosplay. I think that's like the second most
thing
interesting aspect of sewing.
That's cool too.
Is the costume work.
Let's talk about that because when I first met you, you were doing a lot of costumes at the shop originally. So now, are you still doing that? Are you still interested in doing
Definitely something I'm really interested in doing. There's definitely a lot more. Apparel sewing is something I want to spend some more time on.
Okay.
It's one of my biggest like mysteries that I want to get into.
Nice.
But what I love so much about cosplay is because cosplayers like just use whatever you can find. There's just there was no market for cosplayers. So you're like, you're using foam from an old mattress, or you're like trying to like go buy stuff, at Office Max that you can like make work.
Yeah.
So I became really passionate about that line of sewing, because I've seen what other people do, what other sewers and quilters, especially older sewers and older quilters, how they have dealt with their obstacles, all of the things that they can make. And I'm like, okay, these people just aren't talking to each other. They just don't realize that these things exist.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of my focus lately has been going towards,
incredible
fabrics and textures, to make things easier for cosplayers to do.
Yeah, that's so incredible too, because I feel like that's such another creative avenue to go into, because cosplay can be so many things. But then the knowledge of like reaching out to other people that are doing it is really a good skill to do, because I feel like, one, it shows you don't have too much pride where you can't ask someone like, okay, let me see what they're doing. But then you take like inspiration from these people and then turn it into your own.
And that's what the whole sewing community is all about.
I love
that's
that.
what it drew me to it so
I
much
love
to
that
begin with.
so much.
Like I remember I made someone My Hero Academia.
Okay.
I don't follow it really.
I don't follow
but there's
it.
a character with the teacher who has this giant scarf that looks like it's eating him.
Okay.
It's like this huge gray scarf.
Okay.
And so someone wanted to learn how to make it. He had to go to Anime Expo in like 3 days, and he doesn't know how to make the scarf. And I'm like, oh, that's like the easiest thing, because I already knew of like someone else who had made bags out of this, particular foam lining, and it stands up by itself. And I'm like, oh, that's like the easiest thing. We'll just get a big strip of fabric. It looks like a fire hose.
I feel
by the time we're done with it.
I'm like so interested, like, oh my gosh, you did it.
It was like the easiest thing to do, but coming from the standpoint of someone who doesn't have the access to that community, who doesn't deal with sewers, who wouldn't know what to do with a sewing machine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just talking straight line sewing, super easy, turning something inside out. But me having the knowledge of multiple communities of sewers, being able to help him out.
That's so
and he's
great.
used that scarf like for every cosplay that he's done for like years. So,
I love that. I think that's so incredible too, because then you teach someone else and you bring such joy to them. And now you said, like,
that's
you
what
get
I love.
So much
the
use
teaching
out of it.
part is like one of my favorite.
That's so incredible that you're doing that too. If someone wants to like book you for a session, do they have to have a sewing machine?
No.
Okay. I was like, how what do they need and don't need, I guess?
They don't need anything.
Okay.
They don't really need much of anything. Generally, they let me know what project they want to do.
Okay.
And I can kind of give them a heads up of where they can go to get the stuff, especially with me working on building my store.
Yeah.
I'm working on having things just available for people.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That they could just grab it on the online store. But until then, I tell people where they need to get stuff, and then I kind of guide them every step of the way.
That's awesome. What are like some of the things that like you think you would like, if you're gonna have them on your website, that like kind of like a first aid kit, like those things you need? What are like sewing things?
Good set of scissors.
Okay.
You want to have your fabric scissors. You don't use those to cut paper. You don't use those to cut plastic off of containers that you need to get things out of. So a good pair of fabric scissors. Eventually just getting in a good basic sewing machine. And I was planning on, I'll be doing a lot more. That's probably the scariest part for everyone, is what machine do you buy and how do you work it.
Do you have a favorite one?
I have favorite lines.
Okay.
I always suggest go to a sewing machine dealer.
Okay.
And don't beat yourself over the head of buying like a super expensive machine. Buy a good quality machine.
Okay.
Buy a metal-based good quality machine. I can talk for hours.
No,
I can talk for hours about sewing machines.
If people are watching, they're gonna want to know like which one Janae
I can
is
geek
using.
out over sewing machines, which is not something I would ever. A sentence I ever thought I would ever say.
That's awesome, though. I mean,
but,
it's good to know, like, which ones you would suggest people to use.
Yeah. A super basic. I suggest starting with a mechanical machine.
Okay.
And always get it from a store where you know you have the support of the machine training. Take your machine training. Do not buy a machine unless you have someone like me who you know you can go to and you can get the full training on the machine. Or unless you bought it from a store that gives you training. Do not go to Target. Do not go to Walmart or Joann's and pick up a cheap $99 box off of the shelf and just assume you're going to know how to use it. You'll just kind of figure it out how it goes.
That's what I would do, go to Target.
It's tempting because it's like so cheap, it's so accessible. Yeah. But no matter how cheap it is, if it's sitting in your closet,
that's true,
for 5 years before you have enough courage to pull it out, or if you pull it out for the first time and you're trying to sew on something and then all of a sudden, like the needle breaks and it like breaks the plastic inside the machine, you're never gonna want to sew again.
Yeah, that's true.
And that breaks my heart.
Yeah,
because I see it all the time at the shop when I'm like taking in repairs and stuff. They'll buy like the cheap Singer heavy duty $99 machine on Amazon. Okay. And it's completely made out of plastic. And like parts inside are made out of plastic.
Is that hard to fix?
It's impossible to fix.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not made to be fixed.
Oh,
it costs me time-wise like $150 to fix it.
Oh, wow.
The machine costs you $80 to buy it. I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate that. It is so frustrating to sewers, to new sewers who are trying to sew, and they take their machine for a service and they find out that the service is worth more than their machine cost them.
Yeah, that would be pretty shitty.
It's so frustrating. I've seen so many people just heartbroken. Yeah. Like they've spent all this time, they're like really excited and they want to spend all this time, and it's like they got like basically fooled from the very beginning.
Because you think like, oh, I'll just go to Target. I love Target. I'll just see what they have. So if someone did
You want to go to someone who knows machines.
If someone did buy one at Target, like say they currently have it in their closet and they take your classes, can they learn how to not break the machine?
Of course. Okay. Of course. Like I said, the number one thing I would suggest is knowing how to use your machine. Okay. Don't assume you know how to use it.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to assume that.
A lot of people try and just kind of figure it out, which is awesome, and a lot of people do. A lot of people just figure out their machine. They watch the videos. I love YouTube. Definitely suggest it.
YouTube is awesome.
But I've dealt with sewers who have been sewing for their entire lives, and they're 80 years old. Yeah. And they don't know something basic that I know because I know how the machine works. Okay. That they were missing a step in their threading or something like that was causing the machine to constantly jam.
Oh, interesting.
You know, little things, that you don't realize unless you're someone who works on machines, fixes machines, or trains people on how to use machines. So I cannot
That's a good skill.
I cannot stress enough.
You gotta book Janae for your sewing needs.
I cannot stress enough. Buy a machine from someone who knows how to use the machine.
Yeah.
Or like I said, a lot of machine trainers know how to train on any machine because they fix machines.
Yeah.
So they have a general idea of how every sewing machine works. I mean, there's a reason that when you go into a good sewing machine shop,
so many different ones.
They work on literally every brand of machine. But there's a lot of people who know how to sew who don't know how to use their machine. Gotcha. I'd say most sewers and quilters don't know how to use their machine.
Okay, interesting.
Working in the business for over
so long.
4 years, I have lots and lots and lots of veteran sewers who don't fully understand how their machine works. And that frustrates people more than anything else, and it's the number one reason people try and quit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would want to go to someone that like knows the, like you when you buy the product, you want them to know what they're selling.
And of course, people are going to want to sell you a $500 machine, a $600 machine, an $800 machine. But there's companies like Baby Lock, there's companies like Janome, that they make inexpensive metal framed machines.
So the keyword is metal framed, guys.
Metal frames. Plastic on the outside, but everything is really built into a metal frame that you can get for generally like $150 to $300. So it's a little bit more than like a $99 machine.
But if you're gonna pay $150 to fix it,
it's a machine you'll have forever.
$150 to start.
You'll never buy. You'll ever need to buy another machine.
One.
You'll buy one because you want to. You'll buy those 3 and 4 and 5 machines that do all these really cool things. But you'll still use that little machine. For your workhorse projects because it's a good quality machine and it will last.
That's awesome too to learn, like to know that and to give that advice right away is like really gonna save a lot of people trouble. Because I'm that person that like will buy something and I'll be like, I'll just figure it out. Like I just throw out the directions, like I'll figure it out.
The thing with that is it makes logical sense.
Yeah.
But you realize, and I realize because I've done machine training for years. They're just little things that you just don't see right away. That you have to see that problem over and over and over again.
Before it really connects.
And see what's causing it. And it's so little. It's always something little.
Yeah.
It's generally 9 times out of 10 like something in the threading that got missed or something in the bobbin that got missed.
Gotcha.
And it's so frustrating. It's so hard to see if you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You just like the people just sit there and weep. Yeah. They're dealing with this machine for like 3 hours. They're trying to get this costume done. And all of a sudden it's just like throwing all the pieces up out of it.
And if you have no patience, like I don't.
And really people never sew again.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck this machine. I'm throwing it in the closet. I'm never looking at it again.
Dude.
It hates me. I can't deal with this machine. And then they'll bring it in because they're super desperate. And I just rethread it and it's just sewing fine. They're like, fuck this machine. I'm never touching it again. It hates me.
How crazy.
That's all like that.
Really
like
true.
One of the number one things I hear is my machine hates me.
Yeah. How crazy. Like that is like in the realm of your work, but that is so like consistent in just human beings' lives.
Yeah.
That really like that's an overall theme.
So bad.
To just learn the machinery, learn the big picture, get in the nitty gritty, and then you can like do the art form.
Because you'll be frustrated enough like trying to figure out all of these patterns and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Your machine should be the last thing that you're worried about.
Gotcha.
Learn your machine first.
And then
trust
it
me.
All come hand in hand.
Trust me.
How crazy.
So many broken hearts. I've seen, guys. So many broken hearts. It's not necessary.
Please learn your machine. I'm really happy you say that because it's not like some people will probably think like, oh, I don't want to learn the technical aspect. I just want to be on the art.
You just want to do your thing. You just want to make your dress. You just want to make your skirt. But if you're halfway through your skirt and all of a sudden your stitches just start falling apart and you have no idea why, guess you're not going to finish that skirt ever for the rest of your life. It's going to be sitting in a box and you remember that one time that you tried to sew and you're like, never again.
But now you'll watch this and you'll be like, oh wait,
hit me up, guys. We're gonna make that skirt. It's gonna happen for you.
Yes, I really love that. I love that you are promoting not only just having this creative space, but really like teaching that side.
It was so important to me.
So important, and that's great to give that a life in a safe place to come, you know, like obviously with COVID, if you're doing Zoom, it's really socially distanced, you're safe in your own home, and you can still learn the skills. So when someone is booking you and they don't have a machine, how do they start? Like, what do they use?
I do home stuff too, in masks and socially distanced, so I'll bring my own stuff.
Oh, awesome. And then you'll just kind of go through the show and that.
Yeah, because obviously I want to get people who have no idea how to sew and who don't have machines, as well as people who have machines that have been sitting in their closet and they don't know how to use. So I provide stuff too, because the one thing that you start to do when you start sewing is you start collecting machines. I have no idea even I don't know where these machines came from.
Many do you have?
They just showed up. They just started growing and multiplying.
Do you have a lot?
Probably over 6 machines.
Really? Oh, how funny.
I remember when I was first starting at the sewing shop, I would it's like the island of lost toys. I would take this sad little machine that someone left and they didn't want anymore. And I'm like, oh, but it's so pretty.
Yeah, and then you fix it.
And then the tech is like, buy a new machine. Stop taking these junks out of my shop.
But that's cool too, because then it now has helped you so much learn all these machines.
It has.
And then grow this at home. And I feel like this is really great right now, because I feel like, you know, some people the world's kind of reopening slowly, but in reality we're still kind of in quarantine, and it's the greatest time to learn a new skill.
There was such a huge explosion when it started of people wanting to do something and anything.
And not only is it good just for quarantine, but in aspect you have this time, learn a new skill or perfect a skill you might have.
You have no idea what you can do. The amount of things that you throw away. Just tiny things oh my god, these are my favorite tights, but they're starting to come apart on the inside.
Everything. I'm thinking to myself, shit, I gotta take your class, because I have a lot. I love cosplaying, and I have all these ideas of things I want to do, but I'm like, oh, where am I gonna find this? Or
exactly. You're I have to find someone to make it, and that's the thing is, let me tell you guys, the dresses you buy in the stores, the costumes and stuff you buy, when you try and go to someone, there is no money in making things. There's no money in commission, really. Okay. Because, especially when you're doing a really cool cosplay, or you're doing this dress that's perfectly fit to you and made out of this really cool fabric, the amount of time and effort and love that goes into that. A lot of people would probably just be better off trying to do it themselves. Gotcha. You're talking about something that would cost $300 to get somebody to make as opposed to you buying and investing all of the fabric and time, but then you get to make it yourself.
And then you will know how to do it the next time you want.
Exactly.
That's actually a really good point. Now I'm going to have to learn how to sew. Because, that's so true. I feel it just, in general, if you just want to fix something on the fly, something rips, or your face,
you're talking 3 minutes at a sewing machine. You're done. They're on your body again.
Literally, I had this one pair of black yoga pants, but it was before yoga pants were pink.
You can find them anywhere.
They were the best pair of pants. It was the sisterhood of traveling pants. I put them on and I felt skinny and my butt looked good. But because of the material, they would my crotch always ripped.
All of my tights, man.
All of my crotch.
You know how many times I've taken my tights to the sewing machine?
I'm dang my thighs,
because it's you're constantly pulling them up, and so that center part, the crotch part,
always.
And it's the fastest, so easy. I have people who would come into the shop all the time who would ask me to fix the hem of their pants, and I'm I'll show you how to do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Something?
Literally, we're talking about 3 minutes, and your life is just completely different.
I feel that's so crazy too, because even just for example, not really product placement, but it's here. My partner had these hemmed, but there's one that's the odd one out that we forgot about is not hemmed, and I'm how the hell did they do this? It seems so simple.
It is.
But I'm how do I do this?
Yeah, if you just have just a couple little things, to learn about your machine, and then to learn, how the process works, you can apply that to so many things.
Yeah, and that's such a good skill too, because it's not not everyone has it. And so I feel that gives you a good niche in the business department, because not only do you just know how to do it, but you know the history of your machine, and then you know how to teach it. And I think the fact that you know how to teach it, because some people can just do something, but then they're not a good teacher, and that's goes, and I'm sure being a manager also helps you with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then you learn how to teach different personalities and different, I'm a visual learner, so just showing me something or talking about it, I'm not gonna learn. But if you show, you okay, here it is, blah blah blah, I'll do it once, I'm oh shit, I got it. So I'm sure
doing machine training for so long, and I didn't want to teach It was like the last thing I wanted to do when I started, because I was terrified.
Yeah,
I was terrified.
And
like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lying to these people.
How funny.
So it was like the last thing I wanted to do. But like once like I was there for a year or so, and I started to teach the machine training and teach like small lessons and stuff. So incredibly valuable.
Oh, that's so
Dealing
awesome.
with so many different, like you said, everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
I've all ages of people, all different types of learning. I really got passionate about being able to explain things so that each person can understand.
Oh, that's
because
so great. I'm
you
sure
really
that even helps you in the long run, too.
Oh my gosh, so much. I'm so grateful that like someone like pushed me into it.
That's
because I love doing it.
And how funny too, you were reluctant to teach, and now you're like so fulfilled by teaching.
Yeah.
So how funny
Life's
your
crazy.
Transition of stuff. I just think this is so incredible just to learn this. Like I've never been exposed to this. Obviously I follow you and I know you've been doing it, but like to learn like what a bobbin is, I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool.
It's like, I swear, I felt like I stumbled into like the best kept secret.
Yeah.
And it's so silly because like you said, like even in the day, like literally everyone sewed. Yeah. Everyone had a sewing machine. And now it's like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this really cool thing.
Yeah. It's like
because it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I'm so incredibly grateful.
Yeah, and I feel like you're right. Like, I feel like people will think it's like, oh, that's such a thing back in the day. But I feel like much from our ancestors that it's like to bring this into the day and age now that it's like
of all that we have now, married with like the technology that they've had and kind of developing it.
And that's so incredible too, because then it's like not just like the stereotypes or the bias for it. It just now it's like, okay, like yes, they did a really useful tool, and now it's 21st century, and we're like building
using it
upon
our way.
Yeah, it's so incredible too, and especially too to like be a woman doing it and make your own business, and just the woman empowerment of that whole aspect is so incredible. But also it's cool too because you know like you're open to like men and kids and grandparents and whoever to just learn this experience of sewing and getting into this world is also so empowering and incredible.
It's like you don't realize the blocks that people have about just in general, like, you know, sewing's typically more of like women's work.
Yeah, that's what.
But especially nowadays, there's guys sew.
Yeah,
kids
anyone
sew.
can.
Women sew. The uses that we can use sewing for, it's just a talent that you should have.
Yeah.
And that you should be able to have access to.
Super useful.
So when you be able to kind of, when I get to teach so many different people and I kind of get to break down some of that, you get to kind of feel the hang-ups that people have.
Yeah.
Things that they don't even realize are there. Just kind of like learning blocks. And for them to be able to kind of drop that kind of negativity, to drop some of the blocks, to drop some of the bias that they have, and they can just sit there and enjoy what they're doing and get really passionate about it and feel that improvement, feel like they really have a handle on what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what's so exciting for me.
I bet, and like so empowering.
And it's what connects you with
someone.
So many different kinds of people.
I bet.
I mean, literally anyone should and could sew.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoy it. There's something that you can make. It just opens up all of these possibilities of kind of like bringing your creativity out.
Yeah.
I love working with kids too.
I feel like that would probably be so
I have like a lot of parents who are like, you know, like how old do they have to be? Or like, well, we wouldn't want them to touch
Oh, that's
the machine.
a good point. Like how old do they?
Kids are so smart. Like, like
they're on their phones.
Like their ability to learn is so high. Their excitement level is so high, especially little boys, little girls.
Oh, that's so sweet. So
who just the ideas that they come up with. It's super fun.
That's so
anyone. I want everyone to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Everyone to feel comfortable and not be afraid to try and learn. Pull those machines out that you were afraid to pull out.
Yeah.
You don't have to be afraid of sewing. And it can be something that's super fun. And
yeah.
I'm happy to like guide people through it.
Yeah, that's so awesome too, because I feel like kind of what you said, like, you know, anyone can do it, men, women. And it's funny because like people might think it's women's work, but there's so many male fashion designers. And it's like,
stereotypically men.
Hello, welcome to the world.
Weird.
We're both able to do it, and I think that it's a funny thing.
It's just one of those weird hang-ups that you just don't think exist anymore.
Yeah.
But I've had like I've had to work with with guys who they really are just focused on what they need to get done. And they don't want to pay someone to do it, and they don't want to like waste the time. They can like see that like logically it's a good idea for them to learn.
Yeah.
But they almost kind of like don't want to learn.
Yeah, they're like,
They
should I be doing
they
this?
feel like they should they kind of like want to work it out themselves, but they need my help. So when you kind of again, everyone's different. Everyone learns differently. Everyone is coming into the room with like kind of their own hang-ups and things.
Yeah.
So when you can kind of touch on those soft points, those things that make people uncomfortable, and like I said, you can just make them more comfortable, and you teach them their way and make it work, and then they can just take off. Like they take this like one little project that they started, and like all of a sudden now they're making bags, and now they're making
that's so awesome.
Now they're making curtains for their house, or they're making upholstery for their car, whatever it is. I mean, to be able to it's
rad.
really a gift that you can give them that they can keep using. Dude,
that is so rad because it's so useful and just like so artistic and that creative self that you can teach people, and then to do that, so much respect. I need to take a sewing class. I'm gonna sign up. You've inspired me. But I also know, so like Books and Bobbins is its own thing and it's so incredible, but I also know you do so many other things. So do you want to talk about kind of the other career paths or like trades you do?
I mean, I like to stay busy, so it's of course Hot Topic.
Yes, Hot Topic.
We know Hot Topic.
But now you've upgraded.
Yeah, so now I'm on the box lunch side of Hot Topic. I've been working for the company for, I don't know if I'm going in 7 or 8 years.
We probably met like 2015.
It's crazy.
So it's been a long time.
You get to meet so many amazing people working.
So many people.
I usually, like I said, I always work for, I have like a small business that I'll work for, and I'll work for bigger corporate. So just the getting to meet so many different people, so many different passions. Yeah. It's also a dangerous place to work because I'm into so many things, and then customers will get you into things.
Yeah, because if you guys don't know, Hot Topic is like a plethora of fandoms, music, TV, like anything.
It's a nerd haven.
Literally. And like respect to us nerds because it's like our place to be, Yes. And then Box Lunch elevates it because it's more adult, so you have like homeware, you have more like different types of outfits or shoes, or like just a different,
you can be like a Mickey Mouse crock pot. Your entire kitchen can be Disney. You can be an adult child.
Yes,
we support you.
I love it too because that's me, guys. But it's really true too because when you work at Hot Topic, you do just connect with so many different people and you learn so much. Like, I've never seen Star Wars. But thanks to this girl who pushed me because last year was with her was the first time I ever went to Star Wars Land. I just always was like, nah, I don't need to go. I've never seen it.
Experience Star Wars.
And then when we walked up, and it was like, oh my god. And so Janae really has pushed me to like get into that world, which I have not fully done, but I did watch The Mandalorian thanks to her.
The gateway.
And now Baby Yoda is everything. I love him sipping his little soup. Baby Yoda's life.
And now you can talk to so many more people.
That's true.
The world is so much more open to you.
Because I was very like, there's 2 things in life at working at Hot Topic that I could not get with, and that was Star Wars. It was the shameful,
the biggest shame.
So shame. And
you just see the light just drain out of her face.
I was like, who's a Jedi?
And then everyone in the room would just turn very hostile.
It was really bad.
Very nasty.
And I didn't know anime because it's not my thing, but like no issue with anyone it being their thing. It just wasn't mine. But those are my 2 things.
That's what I love to work. Like that's what I love about being in that environment. You learn these new things that people are passionate about. You have your people. You know who to go to. It's like you see this weird thing on TV and you're like, hey, what is this thing? And they're like, they go into like this entire
the whole like theme of the show.
There's so much knowledge there.
Yeah, and then I love too when like a TV show was on and like the pops came out and then you could talk to the customers about their characters. Like that was so incredible to me.
You get to connect with people.
Yeah.
We like to connect with people. We like to learn and teach and
it was just so that is an incredible place to like really meet people. I've met a lot of friends. I mean, I have you as a friend. I mean, shout out to episode 2 with Zeke who also works with us. So you do meet so many incredible people.
I still talk to a lot of people.
Yeah,
even people
customers.
You wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, even like I met 2 of my good friends as customers that came in to buy pops actually, and I thought they were like, you know, just like friends or something, and I was like, oh, like who's your favorite character? And this is actually a throwback to Once Upon a Time. Do you remember that show?
Oh yes.
And the pops were out.
Oh, I have a story for you from
and
that.
they were looking for like this pop, and I had just like finished the season, but they were like just starting it, and I blurted out like a big spoiler, and then I come to find out that they're a couple, and they're like, one's like Team Hook and one's Team Robin Hood, and I was a Hook, so then me and him were like bonding, and I'm like, but then like, and then my friend was like, and it was funny because then we just all became really good friends, and they're like my favorite couple.
It brings people together.
Yeah, like they got engaged recently.
People you would have never thought that you'd have something in common with.
Yeah, and it just happens because I blurted out a spoiler.
But my phone's sewing, Once Upon a Time sewing related story is, oh gosh, I think I set up our online website about not a year, maybe 6 months ago.
Okay.
And I had like this really weird sale. Like I didn't even know that there was a sale on the website for back when I managed the sewing shop.
Okay.
And then someone bought a sewing machine online. I was like so excited. Like I can't believe someone just decided just to randomly buy a sewing machine. And so I saw the name and like sent, shot him an email like, hey, thanks so much for buying the machine from us. Come in anytime for pickup, and like I'll go through machine training with you. And like I got an email back that was like obviously from someone's like personal assistant or something. Okay. It's like, oh, thanks, she'll be in at this time, and like we can schedule with her. And she's
very like documented.
Times. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, but okay. Yeah. I think that makes sense because we're in LA.
True.
It's like obviously like someone's assistant bought them a machine and they were gonna schedule time for them to come. Yeah. Cool.
It was very proper.
And then the girl who walks in, I remember I recognized her right away.
Really?
But I couldn't figure out why.
Oh, listen!
I couldn't figure out why. And she had like a pixie cut, really, really short cut, dark hair, blue eyes, and I'm like staring at her, and I remember the name on the sale, but I didn't really recognize it right away.
I think I know who it is.
And I couldn't figure it out. And then when like I sat down with her in the machine, I was like going over stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm talking to Snow White.
Oh, I was gonna say it was definitely Ginnifer Goodwin, right? Because she had the pixie cut.
Because she goes under a different last name from a different marriage or something like that.
Okay,
I think. Okay. So I gave her machine training.
How cool!
And she was starting her quilting, and she had her own quilt instructor. And
good old Snow White.
I wish her the best. I'm so excited.
How funny!
I love new people. She was like getting into this new thing,
cool.
And she was quilting and sewing.
And she was super nice.
Oh my gosh, she was the best.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Has she ever came back?
No,
just getting the machine.
But yeah,
but you're like, I taught her how to use that machine.
And I just love, again, like anybody
can come in.
How
crazy, yeah, she's in this really successful show, but here she is still wanting to like learn something completely new. And she's not getting like people to do it for her. She like went on her own, bought this machine. That's so rad. Oh my god.
That's my fun little.
That is a fun story, yeah. Oh my god, I actually really love that because, guys, we had a little technical difficulties on my part, and this story did not make it into part one.
It did not.
But thank God we did this again.
Yes.
I didn't get it out.
See, worth it.
That's awesome.
It all works out.
I love that. So thank you for that story. So hot topic, also things some people don't know, is that we had to do the most with the least amount of space. So here we are, like all on top of each other, like
literally just
where do we put Disney?
Anything.
Where do we put DC? Where do we put? And so that
there's just too much space.
Is an art form
to love.
So like space. We're not only doing the creative with people, but then we're being really creative on merchandising and everything. So I'm sure that also plays into your talent of just being creative. It's a good old hot
figuring
topic.
out how to like put the wall so you can like
right. So how is it from Hot Topic to Box Lunch? Is it different?
Was amazing.
Yeah. Just
so again, you have it's amazing. It's dangerous because now you have the girl things to want to buy. But I love it. It's airy and spacious. And
how funny the mood
you're dealing with more
airy.
Adults, and it's kind of like nice. You still have kids.
Yeah,
but in families, you do have a lot of families, which is
like
super fun.
Yeah. How crazy it is, really spacious
and
airy. Oh my god, how funny, because like Hot Topic still has that moody, dark vibe.
If you want to get into that like teenage, like, reminisce, you can go down there and rub against people and shove yourself in the aisles, and then you come upstairs
and you
to the well-lit box lunch.
Funny. That's a really funny aspect, because it's literally the same parent company.
I love it, yeah.
How funny. That's a cool perspective.
Yeah, you've kind of, I literally grew up into box lunch.
How funny. And that's cool that, like, you know, the company must be really well too if like it's treating you so well through the years to where you would want to improve and like move up in that aspect, which is so incredible that they give you that opportunity as well.
Yeah, and like I said, also very dangerous. Yeah, I mean, what's kept me there for so long is I'm so into all of.
They can't get rid of you.
They can't.
They can't get rid of you.
Yeah, that's my joke that I'll always work here because you can't get me to leave. No, many have tried.
I know. I feel like I had to leave because literally I was
all your money goes back into
the company.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It's bad.
It's like good. It's like that bittersweet where like it's so sweet
because you want to know about it. Like you'd be really upset if you didn't know about it.
Exactly.
But then again, if you didn't know about it, you're like might be a little bit better.
Like I had an obsession with hair bows at this time.
I remember.
And anytime we would get like our 50 boxes.
I have boxes and boxes of hair bows.
So many hair bows.
I don't have enough heads to wear.
I was like
these hair bows
obsessed with them, and then I'm like, oh, like.
Why do I have
so many of these?
That's something that you get from working. You're like, you buying, and you like look at this and you're like, what? Why did I buy this?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I have like.
What am I gonna do with this? But that's why we're so good at our jobs.
True, yeah. Because we really like. I'm not just selling you this shit. I'm buying it too.
We're in the hole with you guys.
Yes. And also, if you don't know, please treat your customer service people right, because I don't want to bother you the second or third time.
The last thing we want to do is talk to you, and we know the last thing you want us to do is talk to you.
My manager's making me. I have to approach you 5 times.
Poor Brandilynn's like getting sent back out.
Dude,
you need $300, Brandilynn. You better go talk to that person. You better go find out what they're into. You build their bag.
Right? Like, build a backpack. I was really good at that. Oh, you gotta pack the backpack up. My, like, skimpy outfit I would wear to Hot Topic and my freaking lipstick colors.
And you learn so much about people just because you have to, like, know what people are into and you have to get into it.
If they're at the Disney World, send me. If they're at the Star Wars War, send Janae. Honestly, it's so funny because, like, I love talking, so they would send me out to do these things, but in the beginning, I was petrified. I would sometimes hide behind the rack.
She would just disappear.
Because I was, like so petrified. Like, oh my god, they wanted to stab me last time. I don't want to ask them again.
People literally want you to die instead of talking to them. Like,
just be nice.
I get it. Like, when you go to the store, you, like, not everyone is, like, there, like, to get help. You just want to, like, get in, get what you need to get. But it's literally our job to bother you for 8 hours every day until they allow us to go home.
So just be nice and, like, you know, now it's funny because now when I go anywhere else, I'm like, okay, yes, I'll have the bag. Oh, yes, thank you.
Everyone needs to do retail.
Just work retail.
Everyone needs to understand the struggle.
Yeah. And to go from one store to the next, you really understand the grind. I can only imagine.
Yeah, man, it's rough. I get it. We see people at their worst in retail.
That's true.
You see them like, you know, like, I remember not too long ago we had the fires.
Oh yeah.
So we would have like customers who like were like terrified of like losing their houses. So you have like stuff like that. You have the holidays where people are losing their minds because they're so stressed about like finding what they want.
And then something sells out and we don't have it, or we might not even carry the product.
So yeah,
it's hectic.
And also, I think it feels like, again, you get to know people better.
That's true. You learn a lot of patience, too, working customer service.
So much patience. You just have to, like, know how to deal with people. Know how to, like, turn off the bomb that's going off inside of people. Yeah, so I like it.
Funny. Yeah,
I like it. It's a stress, but it's a good stress.
It's a good stress because you do.
I feel
meet a lot
lucky
of people
that I've had that.
And then not only do you meet a lot of people, but then you learn so much from the customers because you see them again. Then you form that bond with them. That it's not like awkward. Then like, oh, I know them. I'll just talk to them like a person. Again,
that's like part of the passion of my business too, is getting to learn.
That's true.
And teach. You know, and being able to get to know people better. Yeah. There's a lot of, like I said, like blocks that people have that you don't realize until you're trying to teach them something. Yeah. Or, you know, just things that they bring to the table that you wouldn't have thought of before. Being able to break that down, being able to be comfortable with someone. Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
I know, that's so incredible too, because you're right, it kind of full circles your whole journey. So that's really super incredible. So you can find her at Fox Lunch in Northridge. Right now with COVID, it's obviously not open, right? But
I'm doing Starbucks
orders.
Now.
Starbucks! Another super stressful, but also very creative environment.
All of the jobs that I've ever had, it's probably the highest like emergency level, paramedic first responder level of stress.
Dude, people need their
for
coffee.
a $5 cup of
coffee.
But it's a good stress
Yeah.
again. Like, it's crazy. People are crazy. Especially before their coffee. But again, you see people at their worst. Yeah. You learn how to kind of like deal with them and work with them, and they leave happy, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
And just learning how to be able to respond in all of these different situations.
Because now you're dealing with drive-thrus and just like so many orders in the
morning. Guys, you have no idea what is involved for these poor baristas trying to get you their coffee. And your
be nice to your barista.
It's very, very scary. People get very, very in depth. Well, they're real serious about that coffee, man.
There's so much going on at Starbucks. Like, even just our pumpkin spice. Like, I'm sure there's 100 ingredients in this shit. Like, the syrups and the.
We become mixologists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, as much as like people like to like add and change, we're the worst.
People
baristas are the worst because we have all of the options that we get to see. And so you can always tell like when a barista's coming through the drive-thru because it's like, the grande in a venti cup with extra ice.
That's funny.
And extra this syrup and not that syrup. So we're just as guilty of it, but still try to be just a little bit nicer.
Yeah, just be nice
to everybody. Just treat humans with kindness.
Yeah, just with kindness. I mean,
we all, especially right now, we need a little bit more kindness.
Yeah, literally, especially right now in this crazy world. But I can imagine too Starbucks being super creative because of all of those different options of drinks and then what people order, and then you learn like the special secret menu.
The secret menus.
Do you guys have like do you have your favorite drink you've made?
I'd say that like it changes week by week. I think my favorite like weird concoction, I called it jungle juice.
Ooh.
I have no idea what was in it.
No.
It was
I was like, we don't want to order it.
It's like a green tea, like matcha and like chai and chocolate and like all like ginger powder, like all this weird stuff that came out to like a brown murky color, but it was so good.
It was good though.
And we have all day to like play with things and we like hear like the secret menu stuff, like the Harry Potter drinks or like the Disney drinks.
Because I loved one time I watched this like marathon Harry Potter and I was like, I think they have a butterbeer drink, and it was before like Universal was out here.
I've made so many butterbeer drinks, like so many different versions.
I love butterbeer.
I worked at a smaller cafe before I worked at Starbucks, which like kind of like helped me get into it. But they had like tried to introduce like a Harry Potter butterbeer drink.
Really?
And like we were like playing, like it's really fun. Like you're playing with the syrups, you're making it. But I've made so many different versions.
Can I put my order in now? That I need this butterbeer drink.
I love Harry Potter drinks. I love like trying to like catch that feeling.
Yeah, I love anything that's
certain
like
moments.
Taking like a if it's Disney oriented or Harry Potter oriented and like making it into like something I could consume.
I don't know what it is about one of my favorite was the that came out, the Winnie the Pooh drink.
What was that one?
So it's like honey around the outside of the container and it looks like a honey pot.
I've never seen
I don't know why it's like, or like the Oogie Boogie drink.
Oh yes, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is, like the excitement that you get out of super like exciting. Seeing like your character in a cup. Yeah. But I get it, guys. I get you want all the extra stuff. I get the magic. Yes. I get the magic.
It is very magical because even Starbucks does like they did the Christmas tree themed drink last year, or they'll do like
Frankenstein.
Yeah. That's so fun. Exciting.
It's just super fun.
I just want to be a character
and drink a character.
Yes, and drink a character. So that's super, dude. That is crazy because you're in two different kind of realms of customer service. Too.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how everything kind of like you said.
Yeah. How is balancing all of that?
It keeps me busy.
Yeah.
Staying busy is very important to me.
Yeah.
But having, I've really learned from the entire process again of just focusing. I have to have an outlet for my passion. I have to have somewhere where I can focus on my things, doing what I like to do.
Yeah.
And so having that to kind of rely on with the other jobs going on at the same time, I can always come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to know that the time that I spend working on those passions is productive time.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going. It's kind of my anchor. I've learned from 10 plus years of working for other people, of doing job after job, of running from place to place, that I can't ignore my passions.
Yeah.
It'll bring you back I can't shut that part of myself off. I can never be busy enough, work fast enough.
Yeah.
to not be depressed that I'm not doing that.
Got you.
It's like ignoring a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous thing
you could do
that I could do to myself.
Yeah. Has finding your passion really helped that mental state kind of check itself more?
It's helped me find balance. It's helped kind of feel like I have a purpose.
Yeah.
As opposed to just,
great.
having
just doing that every day. Yeah.
Which has been incredibly important for me. I think that's like the number one thing. You don't ignore yourself.
Yeah.
It's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, that's really good to bring light to as well, because you think like you're super busy because you like to be busy, so it keeps you in check of like the never ending like overthinking process.
When you like to be busy and when you're being busy because you're trying to ignore stuff. Yeah. And that's when it's gonna creep up on you. You can't run from it.
Yeah. It's gonna just depend.
You're always gonna be there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So having that positive outlet to channel all of that energy into it really helps keep me happy. It keeps me.
That's so incredible. Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that because it's like, it's good. It's so happy. Like, obviously, I know you. Like, I've worked with you and as a friend, and we've developed friendship. But it's even more satisfying when I hear people that are just super passionate about something, because it's like, yes, girl, like you did it, or like whoever did it, like whoever in the world is doing it, like.
That's what I love so much about your show, man.
Oh,
I'm serious. Like, being able to, like I said, that's just like working in customer service. Like, people you would never get a chance to meet, people you wouldn't know more about. That's why it's so interesting. That's what I love about it. Is being able to hear about people's passions. You do such a great job of bringing that out of people. So I love it.
Don't flatter me now.
Too much.
Thank you.
Of course.
I mean, that, I guess what we both are doing kind of does come together, which is kind of funny because our path of friendship has always kind of been on that same pathway, just in different avenues. And that's funny and thank you for saying that, because that's kind of all what I'm trying to do is I just want to bring to light people's stories of their lives and how they've come to where they are and what they, do in their lives to like inspire somebody. Like, I learned so much from my guests, so thank you for being on the show, because dude, you're so interesting. Like, this whole sewing world is such a whole new world for me. Yes, Disney reference. And it's like super exciting because it's like, one, like you're physically teaching people, and then you're like also have this community of people, but then you also have the book part of it, which is so interesting because who doesn't love to read? I mean, maybe some people don't, but you should love to read because it's awesome. And that's like a whole other community that then you're bringing your past into it, or like your current, like, money maker side of it, where like, you're meeting people from Hot Topic and Box Lunch that are into fandoms, or maybe that like you have a Harry Potter themed night or something.
Exactly.
And that's so incredible because I feel like you're full circle then, but finally found the way to like have your passion
to make out. Like all of those things connect together.
And that's so incredible and so rare. And so I'm so happy to like know someone that's like done it, and it like gives hope for so many people. I mean, it gives hope for me, it gives hope for so many people.
I've just been really lucky. Like I said, the reason I was so passionate about it, the reason I wanted to kind of pursue it, is it was just by sheer luck of me having to do anything with sewing. I again never touched a sewing machine before I started. So I want to share that gift, that excitement with anyone. Literally anyone can sew, anyone can get something out of it, whether it's the sewing side, whether it's the reading side, the art side, doing something creative, doing something where you can bring your passions out and be able to not just ignore it, to not just put it away.
And that's so great because it like, one, helps your mental state and your positive outlook and like just your everyday life, but then it helps so many people around you, which then I'm assuming like then helps you because then you meet all this other people around you.
I love it.
And it's like a never ending fulfillment. And I think that's so incredible. The positivity that comes from it. And especially too, like Box Lunch is so creative, which is what they have and sell, and then Starbucks is so creative of the drinks and the mixology you said of it. Like, that's so fun. But then you're also working with all these other coworkers, which kind of keep you on your toes. Because for someone like you, like just being on your own probably like fulfills you sometimes, but then being around all those people fulfill you then too. So it's so incredible that you found that way to navigate the waters.
I'm very lucky. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And I want to just keep going in that direction.
Yes, girl. Like, we're so here to support it. Like, I love it. Guys, you have to book her for freaking classes and book her and just be a part of the book club too.
It's free. I want as many people, whether you want to read or whether you want to learn how to sew or learn how to do a new craft, or if you just want to kind of like see what it's about. I just want to like connect with more people. It's incredible the amazing people that I've gotten to meet through doing the club.
And it's so incredible too.
I love it.
Because there's so many people out there to reach nowadays with like all the platforms we have, and so many I think that's probably the problem in the world right now, is that people aren't connecting, and we need to connect with people because we're all human beings. We all experience emotions and different situational things that like coming together is just so positive that I love that you're doing each other. Yeah, like I love that you're doing that. Is there anything kind of last parting words or like stuff you want to say also about books and bobbins, or just in general about your personal life?
I mean, just basically like at the root of books and bobbins is just, like I said, being able to build that community of people who have all different jobs, who do all different kinds of things, who have all different kinds of passions, but can kind of come together and share each other's passions, who can learn from each other. You can pick up a new skill. I've learned so much already from my book clubbers that I've worked with so far. Just that gift of being able to connect people, even like during the pandemic, when you can't see people anymore.
Zoom is everything.
New books, new talents. I have like amazing artists that I've met.
That's incredible.
Working with books and bobbins. Just being able to connect, to be able to talk to someone that you would never have thought you'd be talking to.
I love that so much, and I'm so incredibly thankful for you sharing your personal stories.
I'm so glad
and your outreach to everybody.
I was so excited when you asked me to.
God,
I'm so sorry it took so long. I'm
it's
crazy.
Okay. You're a busy girl, clearly.
I've loved watching the show. I've loved watching from the new people that you've had on. I love the community that you're building.
Thank you.
So
I love your community. Guys, you have to check her out. We'll tag it all here. Follow her. We'll put the website. Go research into like classes you would want to be interested in from scratch. Join the free book club. Why not? And let's just all spread this happy-go-lucky, positive community. Like, yes, I love it.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Guys, go check her out. Also, check her out your local box lunch and Starbucks.
I'm everywhere, guys.
Yes. Thanks, guys.